What is up, everyone? Back with another video. Mate here from Be Optimal, and I haven't posted on YouTube for a long time. Maybe it's been a month, maybe even more. I'm not exactly sure, but I actually decided to put these videos here because you never know when it's gonna help someone. So yeah, I'm gonna put this one, and it's gonna be a longer format, and I hope you enjoy it. You can see I'm wearing this my hoodie because it's hella cold right now. Yeah, let's continue with the topic of the video, guys. And today we're gonna talk about something that is extremely sensitive. You know, people are so sensitive these days. It's hilarious. But I'm gonna talk about different types of diets and where I see the problem in all these people advocating for different sorts of diets, what they're advocating their diets actually cure, which I also have a problem with. And the reason why I feel like I'm qualified enough to talk about this and actually give you my real experience is because I've tried all this shit. I was a plant-based eater. I was never a vegan because I never believed in that philosophy, but I was definitely a plant-based eater almost exclusively for about 2 years. Almost exclusively, let's say 99%. At that time, I thought that saturated fat caused heart disease, animal products were the devil, caused colorectal cancer, bowel cancer, you know, all this crazy stuff. And I stopped eating animal products because I thought that if I did, I would become extremely sick sooner or later. And I also thought that my previous years of eating animal products have damaged me to such an extent that I would need to be plant-based for the rest of my life in order to, you know, kind of come back from it. The whole experience with the plant-based diet was fine, let's say. You know, initially I had some digestive issues because of the extremely high fiber, but honestly, after 2 weeks, maybe a week or two, let's say, those issues resolved, and I felt like for 2 years my gut was actually bulletproof. Like I didn't have almost any problems with my gut. But what I did notice was whenever I would eat even a little bit of cheese or, you know, some meat, and for eggs not so much, but cheese and meat, my gut would just flare up. And that is because probably my gut diversity was simply not where it needed to be, because I was eliminating so many different foods. And even though I was eating a lot of plant foods, a lot of veggies, a lot of beans, legumes, whole grains and things like that, I feel like, because, you know, there's this social aspect that we don't take into consideration, you know. Like, of course, if you're a vegan and if you really want to save the animals and things like that, well, I guess that's a different topic. But you know, we find ourselves so many times in different social situations where you just, you know, it's family, it's tradition to eat meat, eggs, cheese, whatever, you know, different types of animal products that, you know, at the end of the day, we got to look at diet. For most people, as I said, we got to look at diet in order to improve our lifestyle, improve our well-being, improve our happiness in a way. And there's really no point. And I feel that most people change their diets to get just that. But then if you restrict so many different foods and if you fall into this dogma, then maybe your social interaction, your basically, yeah, social interactions, they deteriorate, you know. And I didn't want to find myself in that situation because I was eating plant-based, and sometimes in those family situations, if I wanted to eat something that was animal-based, I wanted to, because it would increase my well-being, but I couldn't because my stomach would instantly flare up. And I was like, what the hell is this shit? Like, I don't want to be here, you know. Aside from that, I also would say had some I just felt like my mental well-being was less good. I guess this it was kind of correlated with me going to Italy in Milan to take a master's degree in business and management. And, you know, although I was with my girlfriend, it's a whole different place, a lot of stress. You don't know anybody, you know. I was basically going to my university alone. I had no friends and things like that. And it was really hard to even socialize and actually get some closer friends. So there was additional stress that came from that. And I thought that if I changed my diet to the best diet in the world, which was plant-based at that time, everything was gonna change and I would feel bulletproof, no anxiety, no depression ever. But that was not the case. You know, that was definitely not the case for me. I felt even worse in a way psychologically after I went on the plant-based diet. I cannot say for certain that it was the plant-based diet, although we do know that there are certain mechanisms, certain, let's say, animal-specific nutrients, amino acids that are found in meat and in animal products that help your psychological well-being. Maybe for certain people more, for certain people less. But I definitely felt like after a while, even though sort of my health I felt was good, I didn't have any digestive issues. I did have a problem with the fact that because I didn't want to eat soy, I just didn't like it. And I was against supplements, something we want to talk about as well. Being against supplements, that is a good way to go. But I was ingesting very little protein. Although I was eating a lot of legumes, a lot of beans. They're not the best protein source, no matter what anyone has told you, they're not. Especially for someone like me that wanted to go to the gym, and I was going pretty regularly. I just felt like I couldn't, my strength was going down, my muscle size I was maintaining it, but I couldn't progress. But I thought like I wasn't eating enough, or maybe I'm just not genetically gifted. I had all sorts of different, thoughts came into my mind. But what I found was it wasn't because I wasn't eating enough, because then I started to eat a hell of a lot more and my strength was still plateauing. Of course, a plant-based diet is viable. You just need more soy protein, because soy has a lot of protein but doesn't have the fiber that satiates you. And for someone like me that's pretty skinny and wants to gain weight, having a lot of fiber is not the best idea. You want more protein, high quality protein, which is soy is probably the highest quality protein out of the plant ones. But you know, it doesn't matter. Like, I was struggling both psychologically and in the gym, although generally my energy levels and my gut was feeling great. But then after a while I was like, okay, because I wanted to know why I was feeling this anxiety, or, you know, I wasn't depressed or anything, but just felt iffy, you know. I want to feel better. I want to feel the way I was feeling for years previously, you know, my previous 23 years or something. I was 23, I guess, at that time. And then sort of Corona started, and I went back to where I live in Macedonia, a beautiful country of Macedonia in Eastern Europe, sort of. And I was researching a lot of this stuff, and I've always been researching different types of diets, and I just felt at that time that the plant-based diet was the best. But then I kind of got into this paleo, keto, carnivore, and I was like, let me try this carnivore diet. Like, I'm not going out anyway, we're in quarantine, I got nothing to lose really. There's no way I'm gonna get cancer or diabetes in like a few months, 6 months, whatever it was. So I was like, let me try this, you know, like there's no reason for me not to try the carnivore diet. And what I found was, initially I was able to go on a strict carnivore diet for just a few weeks. I would say about 3 weeks, and I felt like absolute dog shit, let me tell you. The problem, what I think is just electrolyte imbalance, and that is because when you don't have enough carbohydrates, your potassium levels compared to your sodium and magnesium just get totally whacked out of proportion, and you feel like shit. Can you fix that with supplements and things like that? Probably, but my strength was going down even worse than I was on a plant-based diet. And when you're eating meat, what you will find is that you cannot eat a lot. There's so much protein in it. It's mostly the protein that satiates you. The fat is a factor as well, but it's mostly the protein. And it was just hard for me to eat. I even lost a few pounds, which is something for me personally I don't want to do. But my psychological well-being kind of went up. And it's hard for me to say if it was the diet or the plan, if it was the diet or simply the circumstances in which I found myself in. But I would say it was the diet, because at the same time, although I wasn't in the high pressure situation in terms of going to university, people you don't know and things like that, I was at the same time alone with the stress of the coronavirus plaguing us. You know, I was extremely afraid initially. You know, but I was still having the exams simultaneously because, you know, online. And, you know, it wasn't like my stress levels were that lower. Maybe they were, but I don't feel like they were that much lower that made me see this sort of change in my psychological well-being. So then I kind of got into, you know, what are some different nutrients that in meat and animal products that can make you feel good. Then I saw a study that we don't actually know if in small children, you know, in infants, if we don't give them animal products, it is possible that if that occurs, you know, for a couple of generations, they may develop certain brain issues, you know, neurological problems. Then I kind of got into evolution and how it's very likely that our brains grew to this size just because we ate a lot of meat, a lot of fat, which was extremely calorie dense, and because of homeostasis, meaning, you know, there's always got to be a balance within the body. Our brains exploded in size, whereas our guts and our digestive systems basically shrunk. And this made me think that, like, my psychological well-being was that bad just because of the plant-based diet. But that's not the case either, guys. Do I think meat can help your psychological well-being? Absolutely. Do you have to be on a strict carnivore diet, eating no plant foods, no whole grains, no rice, no veggies, no fruits? Is that the ideal thing that you got to do in order to improve your health? No, I don't think so. The problem, I kind of get into my point of this video, is that there's a problem that a lot of these gurus around the internet try to exploit by these different diets or different supplements. We live in an age where so many physiological, both psychological and physiological problems are prevalent, you know. People have all sorts of problems, from depression to gut issues to lethargy, you know, fatigue, things like that. That these people kind of find a certain dogmatic view, a certain sphere. Okay, we're gonna focus on only plants or only meat and things, and they market themselves in a way that they're gonna solve all your problems. And that's what I have been doing for years now. I've been trying to find a diet that was going to solve all my problems, both my physiological and my psychological problems. And this is not to say that diet does not have a profound impact in both your psychological and physiological well-being. It does. It's immense, especially if you have a serious problem. Maybe if you have a parasite, especially gut issues, a healthy diet is going to make a massive difference. But this doesn't mean that you need to go strict carnivore, or you need to go strict vegan or plant-based or paleo, keto. That's the problem that I see. Restricting your foods to so many little foods that maybe you see some improvements, but then after a while, your gut diversity shrinks. You cannot tolerate these foods anymore. And that becomes a problem. And not only that, people get so dogmatic that they choose to not pay attention to the vast amount of research that we have that states that fruits are healthy, that vegetables are healthy, or that meat and eggs are healthy. They just want to focus on one particular thing, and they try to virtue signal, oh, I'm eating plants for the animals, or these vegans, they would say flesh clogs your arteries. There may be certain truth to both, plant-based claims or keto claims or carnivore claims, but it's not the whole story. And the point ultimately that I want to get is that diet is not going to solve all your problems. It just won't. Life is it's a combination of so many different factors that we choose to kind of ignore. We think, oh, diet. And of course, diet is a major factor. But what about exercise? What about social interaction? What about breath work and meditation? These are things that make such an immense difference that sometimes diet alone cannot. We, instead of working on our psychology, our sort of mind prowess, how good, how proficient are we in dealing with all these different obstacles that our mind by itself creates, and we think that just by changing our diet, everything else is gonna change. We're just gonna feel amazing all the time, but that's not the case. That just does not happen. And when we put our faith in these gurus, these functional doctors, whatever, oftentimes it makes things even worse, because you focus on a diet, you restrict so many foods, you become obsessed with eating certain types of food, which I have, and you think that if you have a little bit of bread, oh my god, you're gonna feel like shit for a week. You don't meditate because you just feel it's useless, it's not scientifically backed or something, which it is, by the way, and it's a big problem. And kind of, if there's one thing I want you to get out of this, is that sure, you may be having certain physiological issues that cause you to feel like shit and cause you to be depressed and anxious, but it is most likely that you're just simply not living up to your full potential. I think that in a way, depression, or maybe not depression, but anxiety is that it's just a signal that you're maybe not doing something right. It's not always the case. But I found that so many times I've been anxious, and I was like, oh, what did I eat? When in fact it was because I've been playing video games for a week straight for 10 hours a day. Maybe that was the case, It wasn't just the diet. Even sometimes, even if I've been exercising, if I haven't been exercising, you feel like shit because you're not stimulating your hormones, your feel-good hormones, you're losing muscle mass, you are just not pushing yourself, you're not putting yourself in uncomfortable positions and in difficult and intense situations where you actually grow psychologically. And then you feel, oh no, it must have been the diet or the bread, the gluten. It's not always that, guys. And yeah, I think that if I continue talking about it, I'm just going to talk about the same things over and over again. But the point is, diet is not a cure for everything. We got to look at life from a more holistic perspective. If you want to live the best life that you can, you need to have a good diet, but you also need to be a good human being. You gotta be close with at least someone, your friends, family, whoever. You need those deep social interactions. You need to lower your stress levels. You need to meditate. Not everyone, I guess, has to meditate, but it's such a profound practice that I don't know why people don't do it more often. But I guess because it's difficult, I guess, yeah. And exercise. And not just cardio. You need resistance training. You need to build some muscle, because muscle is very underrated. You just seem to think that muscle is just for aesthetic purposes or maybe just for strength. But that's not the case. Muscle regulates a whole freaking body. It's like a currency. The more muscle you have, the more sort of leeway you have to do shit that you don't want to do. So guys, I think we come to the end. Hope you enjoyed this video. It's, as you can see, it was very unstructured. If you got to this point, I'm extremely proud of you, if I can say, and extremely happy and proud of myself as well that I kind of got you engaged to this point. But think about this. Think about everything I just said, and stay tuned for the next videos. I'm really here, and it's my purpose to help you live your best life and help you achieve optimal health. So I hope you have a great day, and see you in the next one. Peace out.